Before you walk away, before you close that chapter, there's one powerful thing you can do that will change everything. This isn't about games. It's about human psychology, about leaving an emotional fingerprint on someone's heart that they'll never erase. Have you ever wondered why some people come into your life, leave, and yet somehow they live in your mind forever, while others just fade away? That's not an accident. It's science. And today I'm going to show you how to become unforgettable. See, most people say goodbye the wrong way. They beg, they explain, they overcompensate. And instead of making a lasting impact, they accidentally make themselves easier to forget. But there's a way, a subtle, psychology-backed goodbye technique that taps directly into the emotional memory center of the brain. Do this one thing, and he won't just think about you tonight. He'll think about you next week, next month, maybe even next year. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal exactly what to say, what to do, and how to leave in a way that imprints you into his mind forever. This isn't manipulation. This is understanding the way human emotions work and using them to your advantage. Stay with me, because once you understand this secret, he will never forget you. Goodbyes are never just words. They are emotional turning points, moments when the brain goes into overdrive, trying to process what it's about to lose. And here's the truth. Most people don't realize when you walk away, he feels it far more deeply than he lets on. Men are often taught to hide their emotions, to act strong, to stay composed. But inside, something very real happens. The brain releases a surge of stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, making the moment of separation more intense, more vivid, more unforgettable. In that exact instant, his mind becomes hyper-focused on you, replaying every interaction, every word, every touch, trying to hold on to the memory before it slips away. But here's where it gets fascinating. The emotional imprint you leave behind isn't determined by how long you've been together. It's determined by the last moment he shares with you. The human brain prioritizes peak emotional experiences. That means if your goodbye is messy, desperate, or filled with tears, the memory becomes heavy, painful, something the mind wants to escape from. But if your goodbye is calm, powerful, and unexpected, you trigger a completely different response. You create a contrast effect that makes you unforgettable. He starts asking himself questions he can't answer. Why didn't she fight for me? Why did she walk away so gracefully? Does she already know her worth? That curiosity pulls him deeper into thought, and thought leads to longing. The more he wonders, the more you occupy his mind. Think about it. When someone walks away confidently, without chaos, without begging, they plant a seed of mystery. That seed grows into regret, and regret becomes memory. And memories, especially emotional ones, have an incredible way of replaying themselves over and over, like a song stuck on repeat. Most people believe that making someone remember you means holding on tighter. But the truth is, it's often the quiet, controlled goodbye that burns deeper than any loud emotional one. Humans are wired to want what feels rare, what feels ungraspable. And when you become the person who walked away without falling apart, you create scarcity. Scarcity makes you valuable. So if you've ever thought he wouldn't care when you leave, think again. Goodbyes are powerful triggers, far more powerful than most people realize. And if you handle them right, you won't just leave, you'll leave an impression he can't erase. Now, let's talk about something most people never understand. The emotional triggers that make you absolutely unforgettable. When you know how to activate the right feelings at the right moment, you don't have to chase anyone. They chase you. You see, attraction isn't built on looks alone, or even on chemistry. At its core, attraction is about emotional impact. The way you make someone feel when they're around you, and more importantly, when they're not. The human brain is wired to hold on to emotional peaks. Those rare moments when feelings are heightened, when something stirs deep within us. If you know how to create those moments intentionally, you become someone his mind struggles to forget. One of the strongest triggers is uncertainty. Most people assume giving constant attention keeps someone close, but the opposite is often true. When you pull back slightly, when you leave just enough mystery, his brain starts filling in the blanks. He wonders where you are, what you're doing, and why you're not constantly seeking him. That wondering creates curiosity, and curiosity creates obsession. Another trigger is emotional contrast. People remember moments that break patterns. If everyone else in his life reacts predictably, but you respond with calmness when he expects chaos, strength when he expects weakness, or grace when he expects tears, you stand out. That contrast imprints you in his memory because you're different from what his mind anticipates. Then there's emotional anchoring, connecting powerful emotions directly to you. If during your time together you create experiences that spark joy, excitement, or even bittersweet nostalgia, his brain associates those feelings with you. And when you leave, he doesn't just miss you, he misses how you made him feel. Here's the secret. People don't obsess over others simply because of what they see. They obsess because of how someone makes them feel alive, desired, and understood. If you can stir deep emotional reactions, whether through mystery, contrast, or unforgettable moments, you bypass logic entirely and connect with the part of his brain that forms lasting attachments. And that's why some goodbyes hit harder than others. It's not the goodbye itself that lingers, it's the emotional energy behind it. When you learn to trigger the right emotions, you become irresistible, not because you're trying harder, but because his mind won't let go of you. And in a moment, I'm going to reveal a single powerful sentence you can say before walking away. One that plants you so deeply in his thoughts, he'll replay it over and over, unable to forget you. Missing someone isn't just an emotional experience. It's psychological chemistry. When someone walks out of our daily lives, our brain doesn't simply let go, it fights to hold on. And here's why the human mind is wired to crave emotional consistency. When you suddenly remove yourself from his world, you're disrupting the rhythm his brain has grown used to. That disruption creates a gap, and the brain hates gaps. It wants to fill them. At first, he might try to distract himself, scrolling through his phone, spending time with friends, acting like he's fine. But underneath that surface calm, something powerful is happening. His dopamine levels drop. Dopamine, the brain's desire chemical, is tied to reward and anticipation. When you were around, he got constant emotional hits from your presence, your attention, your energy. Once you're gone, his brain still expects those same hits, but they're not there. That emptiness creates longing. Here's the fascinating part. The mind starts replaying peak emotional moments on loop. Every laugh, every deep conversation, every little habit you shared gets stored in his hippocampus, the memory center of the brain. And the stronger the emotions attached to those memories, the more sticky they become. It's why a single night together, one meaningful goodbye, or a simple touch can haunt someone for years. And then there's the paradox of scarcity. Humans always value what feels rare, what feels just out of reach. When you're no longer available, your value rises in his subconscious mind. Not because you've changed, but because his access to you has. That distance activates the reward prediction errors mechanism in the brain, making him obsess more over what he no longer has. But here's where most people make a mistake. They try to force someone to miss them by over-texting, over-explaining, or begging for attention. That doesn't work. It backfires. The brain doesn't miss what it still has easy access to. If you want him to truly feel your absence, you must create space. Space creates curiosity. Curiosity triggers emotional tension. And tension makes his brain work overtime, searching for answers, searching for you. This is why missing someone is less about the time spent together and more about the void left behind. The right goodbye, calm, controlled, and confident, leaves a void that his mind can't ignore. And in just a moment, I'll share a single powerful line you can use at the right time. A sentence so impactful that once you say it, his thoughts will keep circling back to you, no matter how hard he tries to move on. Sometimes, a single sentence can stay with someone long after you're gone. It echoes in their mind, plays on repeat, and keeps them wondering what you really meant. Words have power, especially when they leave space for the imagination to wander. And when you understand psychology, you can choose a sentence so powerful that it haunts his thoughts long after you walk away. Here it is. I hope one day you'll understand what you just lost. Simple, calm, controlled, but devastating. This line works because it doesn't beg, it doesn't blame, and it doesn't explain. It creates curiosity and emotional tension, two of the most powerful psychological triggers in human relationships. The moment you say it, his mind instantly begins searching for meaning. What did I lose? How much did she mean to me? Did I make a mistake? That questioning leads to rumination, and rumination leads to obsession. You see, the human brain is wired to seek closure, and when you deliver a sentence like this, you deny him that closure. You don't follow it up with explanations, you don't justify yourself. You leave quietly, and in doing so, you force his thoughts to fill in the blanks. And the more his mind works to understand, the deeper the emotional imprint becomes. The key is in the delivery. You don't cry. You don't shout. You don't look for validation. You say it softly, almost as if it wasn't meant for him to hear, and then you walk away. That quiet confidence makes him see you differently, stronger, more self-assured, more valuable than he realized. And here's the hidden magic. You're flipping the emotional balance. Right now, he assumes you're the one who feels the loss. But when you deliver that sentence with calm certainty, you plant a seed of doubt that grows over time. Doubt turns into reflection. Reflection turns into regret. And regret, that's the emotion he can't escape. The best part, you don't need to force him to think about you. His own mind will do the work for you. That single sentence becomes an echo, a quiet reminder of what he once had, what he thought he understood, and what he'll slowly realize he may never find again. And in a moment, I'll reveal the common mistakes most people make before saying goodbye. The behaviors that weaken your impact, sabotage your value, and make you easier to forget. Once you understand these, you'll know exactly what not to do if you want to remain unforgettable. Before you walk away, before you say that final goodbye, there are a few mistakes you cannot afford to make. These mistakes don't just weaken your impact. They make it far easier for him to move on and forget you. The first mistake is begging for validation. When emotions run high, it's natural to want answers, to ask him why, to make him explain himself, to plead for him to see your worth. But here's the hard truth. The moment you start begging, you give away your power. Instead of creating mystery, you create clarity, and clarity kills curiosity. The less you explain, the more he wonders. The second mistake is letting anger control your goodbye. Explosive emotions might feel satisfying in the moment, but they leave a heavy negative imprint. If your last interaction is full of shouting, blame, or accusations, his brain will associate you with stress, and we're wired to avoid what stresses us. Calmness, on the other hand, leaves a sense of unfinished business. That's what lingers. The third mistake is over-explaining your feelings. You might think that pouring your heart out will make him understand your pain, but in reality, it makes you predictable. Predictability reduces your emotional impact. A short, controlled goodbye creates mystery, and mystery is what keeps someone thinking about you. The fourth mistake is trying to make him jealous. So many people believe that showing they've moved on immediately will spark regret, but forced jealousy rarely works. If it's obvious that you're doing it just to provoke a reaction, it signals desperation, not strength. Real power is in silence, not performance. And finally, the fifth mistake is losing control of your energy. Crying uncontrollably, clinging or refusing to leave gives him the emotional release he subconsciously craves. It signals that you've fully given him your power. Instead, when you leave with grace, composure, and quiet confidence, you plant a seed of doubt. That doubt grows into curiosity. That curiosity turns into longing. Remember this, your final goodbye is the emotional snapshot his mind will replay again and again. If you make it messy, painful, and chaotic, his brain will naturally try to erase it. But if you make it graceful, controlled, and powerful, it becomes unforgettable. In just a moment, I'll take you through a step-by-step goodbye formula, a proven psychological framework that ensures you leave the deepest possible impression, one he won't be able to shake, no matter how much time passes. Regret doesn't happen by chance. It's triggered. If you want him to regret losing you, you can't force it with desperate calls, endless messages, or emotional breakdowns. Regret is born when someone realizes the true value of what they've lost, and that realization only comes when you create the right emotional conditions. The first step is silence. It's one of the most powerful tools you have. When you disappear from his world, when you stop chasing, texting, explaining, and pleading, you create space. And space makes him uncomfortable because he suddenly feels the absence of your energy, your attention, your presence. The human brain is wired to crave what's no longer easily available. By pulling back, you let him experience the void you leave behind. The second step is self-elevation. While he expects you to be hurting and stuck, you quietly work on becoming the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. You invest in your happiness, your goals, your passions. When he sees you thriving without him, it triggers a psychological shift. His brain goes from "I lost her" to "I may never find someone like her again." That's where regret begins. The third step is unexpected composure. People expect breakups to be messy. They expect tears, arguments, and emotional chaos. But when you remain calm, graceful, and controlled, you break his pattern. And because your reaction doesn't match his expectations, it sticks in his mind. You become the one who stood out, the one who walked away without losing herself. The fourth step is authentic scarcity. Stop giving him emotional access to you. No late-night messages, no constant updates, no desperate attempts to prove your worth. The less available you are, the more valuable you become in his subconscious mind. Scarcity creates desire, and desire is the foundation of regret. And finally, the most important step, allow time to work for you. Regret rarely hits immediately. At first he may feel relieved, but as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, those quiet moments catch up with him. He starts remembering the little things, the things he took for granted, the things he thought would always be there. And when he realizes they're gone, regret sets in, deep and heavy. This isn't about manipulation. It's about shifting focus back to you and letting your actions speak louder than your emotions. Because when you reclaim your power, when you walk away with quiet strength, you stop chasing his attention, and that's exactly when he starts chasing yours. In the next part, I'll share a step-by-step goodbye formula, a proven method to create an emotional imprint so powerful that he'll think about you long after you've walked away. Saying goodbye is one of the most powerful moments in any relationship. It's the final snapshot his mind will carry of you. And if you handle it right, it becomes a memory he can't let go of. This step-by-step formula isn't about manipulation. It's about leaving with grace, strength, and mystery, so your presence continues to echo long after you've walked away. Step 1. Control your energy. Before you say a word, ground yourself. Take a deep breath, release the anger, the pain, the desperation. If your energy is chaotic, he will feel relief when you're gone. But when your energy is calm and steady, you leave him unsettled. His brain expects tears and drama, and when it doesn't come, he feels off balance. That imbalance keeps you in his thoughts. Step 2. Keep your words minimal. Less is always more. The more you explain, justify, or defend yourself, the easier it is for him to close the chapter on you. Instead, keep it short, meaningful, and controlled. Say only what matters. No over-explaining, no long emotional speeches. Mystery creates memory. Step 3. Use the power sentence. Remember the line from earlier, "I hope one day you'll understand what you just lost." Deliver it softly, without anger or sadness. This line triggers deep curiosity and regret because it suggests meaning without fully revealing it. It makes his mind work overtime, replaying your words over and over. Step 4. Walk away gracefully. The way you leave is as important as what you say. No hesitation, no turning back, no checking for a reaction. You walk away with quiet confidence, and that silence speaks louder than any words ever could. It signals strength. It tells his subconscious, "She's not dependent on me, she knows her worth." That kind of energy sticks. Step 5. Disappear with dignity. This is where most people fail. They say a strong goodbye, but then they keep texting, calling, checking in. That destroys the impact. You have to stay silent, no matter how hard it feels. Space is what makes the mind crave. Distance creates longing, and longing creates obsession. When you follow these steps, your goodbye becomes more than just words. It becomes an emotional trigger. Every time he thinks about you, he'll remember the way you carried yourself, the way you didn't fall apart, and the one sentence he can't stop replaying in his head. And next I'll share my final tips and powerful takeaways to make sure that when you leave behind something he can't erase. A memory so deeply rooted that he'll never truly stop thinking about you. You've made it this far, and now you know the secret. Being unforgettable isn't about